Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Strategy Show. I'm Simon Severino, your host. This episode is brought to you by the Strategy Sprints. A strategy sprints with only one thing: strategy in sprints. Strategy means gaining market shares, and in sprints means having fun doing it in short cycles that have a high energy for your team and give you even more energy for the next sprint. As always, we go out there and try to find knowledge, tools, and tactics for you, the CEO. And this week, I am very honored to have here the big A, Aaron Walker. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Simon. Thanks for having me, buddy. Listen, I love the name of your show, Strategy Sprints, because sprints, as you said, is having fun. And I love to have fun doing these interviews. And so hopefully we'll be able to add a few bits of knowledge to your listeners, and I couldn't be more excited to be on your show today. So thank you for having me.
We are honored to have you because you have a ton of experience and knowledge to give. You are the president and founder of View from the Top. You have grown 14 plus businesses with success. You know and teach how to start, grow, and run mastermind groups, and you currently have 19 mastermind groups. You talked more than 2,000 times on podcasts. You are on a roll. Where do we start, Aaron? Tell people what you're currently creating.
Well, I appreciate that, Simon. Thank you. It's been so fun being interviewed, and this is our 41st year in business. We have created 14 businesses over the course of those 4 decades. And 10 years ago, when I turned 50, I retired for the third and final time. My wife said I've retired more than the law allows. But I said, hey, I'm going to coach some guys and teach them how to have a measure of success in their life. And I started doing that and started doing podcast interviews, and our business absolutely exploded. And today we have 19 mastermind groups. We're in 9 different countries around the world. And I'm having more fun today leading these mastermind groups than I've ever had in my career. And so I want to educate and teach and help you understand a little bit today about the benefits of being in community. And we're designed to be in community. Isolation is the enemy to excellence. And if you really want to go forward in life, you have to get people around you that will tell you the truth. And we do that with masterminds.
Beautiful. So I want to know, where do you get all this energy? Where do you take it from every day, every week?
Yeah, I just enjoy living, Simon. I mean, this is not a practice run. We don't get to do it again. This is it. And I want to make the best of each and every day. I've worked for myself since I was 18 years old every day. And so whatever I do, I have to go and get it and make it happen myself. And you can't do that with a pessimistic attitude. You can't do that with low energy. And you've just got to go out there and conquer the day and make the best of it. I know that we're dealing with this coronavirus right now, and it's got a lot of people depressed and on the side, and it's very bad. And I'm so sorry that there's so many people suffering as a result of it. But you've got to ask yourself, what does this make available? What are the opportunities as a result of this? And let's figure out a new way and keep going through life and enjoying ourselves, creating a level of success, simultaneously creating significance in the lives of those that you influence.
Why do you love masterminds before we go into how to start one?
Yeah, well, masterminds give you a different perspective. And if you think about masterminds, it's a group of people that are collectively coming together with similar core values, and they help point out your superpowers, which we need. We need people to help us understand our superpowers, but we need to know what the Achilles heel that we have and maybe our blind spots, because those are the things that really get us. Is the blind spot. And you can only see things from one perspective because you've only got one life experience. And when you surround yourself with non-biased, trusted advisors, they can help point out the areas in your life that you need to work on and improve. And for me, I want to be in community. We're designed to be around other people. And I subject myself to the scrutiny of other people so that they can help me get better. That's why it's so important to be in a mastermind. This is the 21st year every week for 21 years that I've been in a mastermind group.
I love that you use the word superpower, because it's also one of my main words.
Mm.
When you get into our world, into the strategy forum, the first thing when you introduce yourself, the first question is who are you? What are you creating? What's your superpower? What do you want to contribute to the group? And some people right there, I don't have a superpower, but I am good at. And every time I see this touches me deeply. Deeply. How can you think of yourself that you do not have a superpower? How can you?
In Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, he talks about overcoming upper limit challenges. And in that, he said that most of us operate in our zone of competence, not in our zone of genius. And the way you can determine your zone of genius is what gives you energy and what sucks the life out of you. And that's the areas that you want to get away from. The things that give you energy, you want to excel at. And so that's your lane of genius. And that's where I want to operate each and every day.
Beautiful. I love it. So we have now a purpose why a mastermind is important. We're built for that. It's about finding out what are our strengths and weaknesses, our superpowers, what sucks out the energy of us. It's iron sharpening iron, as you call it.
Right.
And now, who should start one and how to start one?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that I want to point out. You don't know what you don't know, right? And so when you get surrounded by competent people that share the same core values, our core values are honesty, integrity, transparency, and vulnerability. And when you're allowed to go into an environment where you can let that facade down, you can let your shield down, and you can say, hey, I don't understand how to do this, or I need this resource, or when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was pretty arrogant and condescending because I had grown a business from nothing, and I was able to retire at 27 years old. So I thought I was the golden child. I thought, hey, nobody can tell me anything. Well, a few life instances happened that humbled me, that brought me back to reality. And people around me said, you're being very condescending, you're being very arrogant, and that's not going to serve you well long term. They were accountability folks in my life. And so I quickly learned that in order for me to excel to any degree of competency in any area that I wanted, I needed people around me to encourage me, but also to slow me down, to say, hey, you know, like, I'm a creator developer, so I get out of the shower and I got 3 new ideas every day. And I've gone to these mastermind groups and they would say, hey, this is a good idea, you need to do this. Or they would say, you've lost your mind, that's never going to work in a million years. And when you have the general consensus of the multitudes, one way or the other, you really need to pay attention and listen. Where people get in trouble is they have a great idea, they go out and execute on that idea without doing any form of beta test whatsoever or getting the opinions or ideas of other trusted affiliates. And when they do that, they get themselves in trouble. And I ask a million questions, Simon. I mean, I'll go out and say, hey, do you believe this would work? Or where can I get this resource? Or what is the idea? How can I improve it? What can I do? I open myself up for constructive criticism. And when we do come to market, we've got a good product that works. That's the reason that you need to be around these groups. Who should start a group? If you have any influence whatsoever, there's a lot of thought leaders around the world that are contacting me now. There are podcast hosts, there are authors, there are coaches. If you have any area of influence whatsoever, when I started in the coaching business 10 years ago, I had a number of one-on-one clients that were paying me a lot of money to coach them because I'd had a lot of experience. Well, when I would go on vacation, I would have to put aside all of those coaching clients, which means I lost the revenue. Nothing wrong with one-on-one coaching clients. I enjoy doing it even today. But coaching is a job, not a business. And let me tell you why. A business is something that creates revenue even when you're away. Well, one-on-one coaching doesn't do that. It's just a high-paying job. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But the mastermind groups that we have 19 now, I'm about to take 2 weeks off. Well, I don't have to stop anything because I have competent facilitators that are leading the group. Nothing changes while I'm gone. When I come back, I have the same amount of money or more than when I left. So now we have recurring revenue. That's a business, Simon, and I'm sure you view it the same way. We can still help people with the coaching. I still enjoy doing it because I want to stay fluent in that area, but I also want something that provides recurring revenue. So if you're looking to influence multiple people from a one to many rather than a one to one, this is a great way to scale your knowledge and wisdom.
Beautiful. It's so important to move from a job to a business so that you can then have all your capacities on the growth tasks and on evolving that, curating that, and passing every day. My picture is, because I had always also this transition from job to business, and now we have a certification program, and there are the sprint coaches, etc. My metaphor is that I pass over the whole system working on the business, but not in the business, every week, and I give it a little bit of water here. I always pass by like a gardener and have little bit of love here, curating this, improving this, tweaking this, talking to this, and it gets better and better and better every month and every year. So after so many decades, like you do it, then you have a work of art that right. is growing and full of possibilities. But let's unpack it a little bit. Okay. Let's say, okay, I'm a coach, I'm an influencer, I have something to say, I have an audience. Now, how do I start downloading my knowledge, productizing it so that I can teach others?
Yeah, it's a good question. When we started scaling masterminds, a lot of top influencers started calling me saying, how are you doing this? Like, how are you scaling? They said, you're not leading all 19 groups. And I'm like, no, I'm not leading all the groups. I train facilitators under my direction for a year or more. And then we appoint them to be a facilitator. And then we do revenue share. So it's good for them and it's good for us. We've created a framework that really allow people to run the mastermind groups at a very efficient level. The thing that most people are afraid of is they don't have the framework. They don't know how to set it up. So one day, people were calling me and they were asking me to coach them and teach them how to do what we're doing. So Simon, they started paying me these ridiculous sums of money to coach them. And I'm like, I don't really want to do this anyway, so I'll just throw out a big number. And I did. And they said, where do we send the money? And I'm like, seriously, you're going to pay me that? Yeah, absolutely, because you've scaled masterminds. You've done something no one else has ever done. So I started coaching these people one-on-one, teaching them how to do what we do. Well, my daughter, her name is Brooke, she came in my office one day, and she's the COO of our business. And she said, Dad, why don't we create a playbook? And we've already got the systems and processes in place. We've already got our team. We have a team of 9 people. We have everything that they do on video and on systems and processes. We have a mission statement, a vision, a written statement. So we said, why don't we take everything that we know how to do and how we run our business, and we created this to run our business, not to sell it. Why don't we modify it and make the appropriate videos, and let's create something that someone else can use to run an effective mastermind group, or they can maintain their mastermind group, or they can scale the mastermind group. So it took our team about 18 months, and we put everything that we had into this with systems and processes. So what we came out with was an 11-step program. There's 34 videos professionally done, and there's over 100 worksheets, templates, and tools that work you through why you're starting a mastermind, how to start the mastermind, how to do the live events, how to onboard. We have every single lead magnet that you would need to do promotions and advertise, white labeled. We have the content created for the swipe files for emails. We teach you how to onboard people, how to maintain the groups, how to lead the facilitators. There's even 2 courses within the course that teaches you how to grow facilitators and how to onboard new members from an automation standpoint. So it's more of a business in a box. It's like a franchise that we've created, and it's not a hypothesis. We have social proof that it works. We've had the same 10 people in a group for 5 and 6 years, meeting every single week. We've created 30 months worth of content the themes, the books, the reading assignments, the questions to ask in your group, that you don't have to create any content. One guy bought it just because of that one document. He said, this is worth the cost of it just for this 30 months worth of material that I don't have to create. So there's no stone left unturned. If you want to start a mastermind, listen, Simon, here's the cool part. If you're a coach or a podcast host or an author and you have influence at all, and you start 2 groups, the average cost to be in a mastermind group is about $500 a month. With 2 groups of 10 people, it's a 6-figure income. And you invest an hour into each group because we have the framework already established. The myth that people think is, I don't have all the answers. I'm not smart enough. I haven't owned 14 businesses like you, and so I couldn't run a group. It would be like, Simon, you having a party at your house and inviting 10 guests, and they ask questions, and you're the only one responding. That would seem ridiculous. And it's the same way in the mastermind groups. The value is in everybody participating in the question. Not just the host, not just the facilitator. The value is the framework. We're using your home to have the meeting. You're entertaining the guests. You've set the table for dinner. Everything else happens, the magic happens by the interaction of everybody there. And so the fear for most people starting a mastermind is they think they're not smart enough. They haven't all the answers to the questions. And it's just not true. The value is in putting together the group and letting the magic happen.
Beautiful. So how much does the group work? How much do the trainers, facilitators, moderator give input? Do you have a balance? Does it change over the years?
Well, what we do is when we have a facilitator running a group, we have what's called man in the middle, to where 2 people every week we're hyper-focused on your needs. We ask you to post your questions in your private Facebook group prior to the meeting so we can have time to do our research and due diligence and come up with resources if we need it for you. Then we focus on your needs, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether it's spiritual, whatever the need is that you have, we already know the questions, and then when it's time, we can give you good solutions. We read a book every single month. We're reading Mike Michalowicz's book right now, Profit First. It's a great book. Yeah. Mike is a friend of mine also, and he comes and speaks at our events. And then we do expert interviews where we interview people like Brian Moran and Dan Miller and Mike Michalowicz. And we had Seth Godin on a couple of months ago. He came to our group and spoke. And we're having John Eldridge come and speak in 2 weeks to our group. And so we're always inviting new guests and authors to speak in our group to give input.
How do you get Seth?
I asked him. Yeah, he endorsed my book too, by the way. I reached out to him and he endorsed my book. And so these people want to get in front of people, but people are afraid to ask. And I'm not afraid to ask. We had Pete Vargas came to our live event last couple months ago, and he spoke at our live event. So, but we just have amazing people because we reach out and ask. The answer is always no unless you ask, Simon. You got to ask. You got to get out there. So call Seth up and ask him to speak to your group.
I will.
He may say no, but the answer is no already if you don't ask, man. You got to get up. You got to get out there and ask these people. And so don't be afraid of the answer. Just get out there and go for it. But that's the value, is everyone's interacting. And then we appoint a leader that leads each group every week, and then we identify the real quality leaders and then recruit them to be a facilitator that leads a group ongoing. And then they make money. We do revenue share. And so we've created a model that is a win-win for everybody. I have 11 groups that I don't even attend. And yet I make money every month off those 11 groups because I've created the framework. I've created the theme, the book questions, the reading assignments, the accountability tool, the Facebook groups. We've created all that, and we teach you how to do that completely.
That's powerful. So they grow their brand, but you grow also your brand. How can it become a win-win? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, within Iron Sharpens Iron, these are our groups. It's our brand. The Mastermind Playbook is a playbook, a course that we teach you how to do exactly what we've done, and you build your own brand. So you're not building your brand within ours, you're building your own brand. It's just that we're teaching you how.
Perfect. And now we have the start. Let's go to grow and then to scale.
Yeah. Well, the way you grow these is simply through the advertising that we teach you how to do. As you said in the introduction to me, thank you for that very nice introduction. I've done just under 2,000 interviews in the past 6 years. And we really enjoy doing interviews because we want to help other people be successful also. And we have an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. And the more you teach and the more you educate and the more you help, the more you're going to grow yourself. It's just the natural reciprocity. That's just the way it happens. And that's how we've built 14 businesses over the course of 4 decades, is educating, training, and teaching other people how to do what we've done. And so I just want to encourage you, ever who's listening to this, you don't have to have every answer. You don't have to have the framework. That's what we have. And so in order to grow these, you have to have a very regimented, consistent formula by which you market and advertise. And I've got a very extensive Excel spreadsheet and a Google Doc that lays out the platforms that we're on. And I do the interviews every week. We do Facebook Lives every week. I write hundreds of blogs and have over the years. We do Instagram. We do LinkedIn strategies, and we teach you all these strategies that we do in order to get yourself in front of the audience. You know, I was in bricks and mortar business for 35 years. And in that, I only had to count on the geographic area by which my business was located. Well, with the online world, I love it. There's 7 billion people out there that can participate in your online mastermind groups. And when I started this, you couldn't find me with a search warrant. I didn't exist online. You could type in Aaron Walker in Google, and I didn't exist. Well, because of all the marketing efforts that we've done for free, there's no cost to these podcast interviews. There's no cost to writing blogs and really having search engine optimized blogs that we write. Facebook Live, I can do a Facebook Live and talk to hundreds and thousands of people. Now I occupy every space on the first page of Google when you type in my name because of all the content that we've put out. So we're very easy to find now. Every one of you can do that. Listen, I didn't know my butt from third base, you know, when I started this business, Simon, but now because of all the marketing efforts that we've done, we're a national and international brand because of it. And you can do the same thing. Ever who's listening to this can do the same thing. I didn't even know what a podcast was 7 years ago. When someone introduced me to podcasts, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And I educated myself. I'm a voracious reader. I read constantly. And so I'm constantly educating myself on technology, other marketing strategies, and I hire coaches to help me with things because a coach gets you there faster, right? You don't have to overcome the landmines. And so you need to hire people around you that are smarter than you to teach you how to do these things. That's the reason we created the playbook. The playbook allows you not to have to create all these things. You can just go out and simply implement.
Beautiful. Now, there are lots of offers for the coaches, the podcasters, the creators. And there is other parts of societies that would really need masterminds, like nurses, doctors, etc.
Sure.
There was a
industry-specific masterminds.
Yeah, there was a tradition
Right.
which got lost because it's less profitable. There has been less around that. What's your observation? Which part of industry-specific and part of society can leverage masterminds?
Yeah, I think you can even charge more for the mastermind groups that are industry specific because it's very dialed in. It's a niche market. The thing is that no matter how educated we are, we can always learn from other people. And the other thing is procrastination is our biggest enemy. And when we're left alone and we don't have anyone pushing us, or we've not made a commitment to a group, we'll prolong it. We'll push it down. We'll do it next week, next month, next year. But when you have people around you, and Simon, if you were to come to my group and you would say, hey, Big A, I'm going to do this, and I'll have it to you next week. If you didn't have anybody around you holding you accountable and you got busy, next week would come and go and you wouldn't have accomplished your task. But when you come in next Monday and I go, Simon, did you complete this task? No. Why didn't you? Well, I got busy. Well, don't let that happen again. You come in here next week. I want you to make it happen. And then you follow like Brian Moran's 12-week year to where you're honing in on each task that you want to accomplish your goal every single week. And you do that for a 12-week period. You accomplish that goal by focusing on the task. Well, when I'm asking you, Simon, did you do that? You're going to not want to come in there and be a loser again. You're going to be, yes, I did that. Well, because you did it, you were successful. And that success builds momentum, and that momentum builds confidence, and then you get on a roll and you have a critical mass at that point, and you have this great amount of success. But when no one is asking you, you won't do it. The best thing I ever did was 5 years ago in 2015. I stood before my mastermind group and I did what we called Come As You Will Be in 2020. So I had to stand up and act like it was 5 years in the future, and I had to proclaim all of my accomplishments. Well, once I did that, I committed. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Well, my goal then was 10 mastermind groups. I said, if I can get 10 mastermind groups, it will be amazing. We're about to launch our 19th mastermind group, and I still have 7 months left in 2020. I'm going to double my goal. I said if I could just write a book in 5-year period. I've written 2 books, and I'm about to write my 3rd book. If I said if I could only be on 500 podcasts, I'm about to eclipse 2,000 podcasts because I made the goal in front of other people. And every week, are you accomplishing that? Are you on task? Are you getting? And I'm like, killing my goal, Simon, because I stood up before a group and made that proclamation. Listen, when you don't have people around you to push you, you're going to lay in bed, you're going to hit this. You're not going to accomplish those goals because we need people around us to take us to the next level.
This is so true. This is so true. And, you know, when we work with people, they usually say, no, it's impossible, Simon. I cannot double my revenue in 90 days. I cannot double my sales conversion in 90 days because these are usual goals in our 90 days programs. And we say, I hear you. I feel you also. But it's true that you can't. You can't if you don't have the right structure and an accountability partner. But you will have a sprint coach. Once a week, he will call you. And this will make everything different for you. It will be much easier for you to deliver than to not deliver. And that's the whole point. When you start rolling, you get rolling, and then it's easier to stay rolling. And then to be like Big A who retires 25 times.
I don't ever need to retire again as long as I live. I need to keep working because I love it, Simon. I love what we're doing. And I love making impacts on other people's lives and teaching them how to be successful and significant simultaneously. I just love doing that because it makes life fun, right? I mean, there's enough tragedy in the world and we're dealing with all this virus and all those kind of things. But listen, we can have so much fun impacting the lives of other people. And as a result of that, be very successful yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it is so much more. The probability is so much higher that I ask Seth Godin if I know that you would ask me next week.
Okay, I will. I will. I'll ask you next week, and I'm going to see if you have the courage to invite him to be on your show.
It's much higher the probability if I know that you will ask. That's how it works.
Well, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to follow up, and we'll see if you get him.
Absolutely. So how can people get into your orbit and stay in your orbit? What's the best way to get directly to success?
Thank you, Simon, first of all, for having me as your guest today. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you and getting to know you. The easiest way to find me is at viewfromthetop.com. and all of our social media platforms are there. We're very easy to find. You can Google Aaron, Aaron Walker, and we're pretty easy to find. So reach out to me. If you're interested in the Mastermind Playbook, you can go there by that name, themastermindplaybook.com. And I'll teach you. We walk with the people for 3 months. Every other Tuesday for an hour, I personally walk with you through the process, and we help you become successful. It's not just a playbook you buy and you go off and figure it out on your own. I walk with you personally for 3 months to educate you, to teach you. And listen, here's the thing. You get one group for 45 days, and you pay 100% of what the playbook cost. It's a very, very small investment for a very large return on investment. And so I want to encourage you today, if you're a podcast host, an author, an influencer, if you have an industry-specific niche, if you just want to do a general mastermind, we can walk you through that process and help you transform lives, all the while making a very handsome income out of using masterminds.
Beautiful. Big A, thank you for being here. I will report next week about the Seth stuff, and please come back soon.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. We'll see you, Simon.
All right. Bye-bye.
The highest calling right now is to be of service. So the best sales is to not sell at all, but instead to serve the people you care about. Selling is telling. So who do you serve? And how do you serve them? The quality of this experience makes the difference. If you want our experts to go over your current sales funnel and really dive into the experience and the needs of your clients at each conversion point and make it a wow experience, then you are in luck because we have an exercise for you. Our 15-minute sales audit and one-on-one coaching with a world-class sprint coach. Fill out a couple of questions about your sales funnel and you will have clarity. In your personalized coaching session, you will get clarity on your number one bottleneck, 3 ideas on how to accelerate your growth, and a tangible sales map on how to double your conversions. Go to strategysprints.com/sales and do our 15-minute free sales audit today.